Imagine a guy so audacious that when life handed him lemons, he not only made lemonade, he stole the pitcher, the table, and the entire lemonade stand. That's Thomas Blood for you. Born in 1618 in Ireland, this man had already lived quite the chaotic life by the time he decided to go after the crown jewels. He'd fought in the English Civil War, switched allegiances faster than a politician in election season, and survived several failed conspiracies. But Blood wasn't content with being just another historical footnote. No, he wanted to make a splash, and the Tower of London was his perfect stage. Now, let's set the scene. The crown jewels were housed in the Jewel House at the Tower of London, a fortress brimming with guards, iron gates, and a near-mythical reputation for being impenetrable. At the time, Talbot Edwards, a 77-year-old veteran, was the keeper of the jewels. He lived on site with his family, giving guided tours to visitors for a small fee. Blood saw an opportunity. Ditching his usual scheming attire for something more respectable, Blood disguised himself as a clergyman, a harmless, God-fearing parson. Accompanied by an actress playing his wife, he visited the tower in the spring of 1671, charming Edwards into showing them the jewels. Blood's wife played her part perfectly, suddenly swooning with a stomach ailment. Mid-tour. Ever the gentleman, Edwards invited her to recover in his family's quarters upstairs. Blood, pretending to be overwhelmed by the keeper's kindness, returned a few days later with a gift of gloves for Mrs. Edwards. This wasn't just a random act of gratitude, it was the long con at its finest. Over the following weeks, Blood visited the Edwards family repeatedly, worming his way into their trust. He even suggested a match between his wealthy nephew and Edwards's unmarried daughter, a proposal that must have seemed like a dream come true for the humble keeper. Then, on May 9, 1671, Blood struck. Early that morning, he arrived at the tower with his nephew, actually his son, and 3 accomplices. They chatted with Edwards as if it were any other social visit. At one point, Blood casually suggested they take a look at the crown jewels while the nephew got to know Edwards's daughter. The trusting keeper obliged and led them to the jewel house. The moment Edwards unlocked the door, Blood revealed his true intentions. He struck the old man on the head with a mallet, bound and gagged him, and set his gang to work. They pried the metal grill off the display and started looting like there was no tomorrow. Blood flattened the crown with his mallet to hide it under his robe. His accomplice stuffed the royal orb into his breeches, and another tried to saw the scepter in half when it didn't fit in their bag. Subtle, they were not. But here's where the plan unraveled. Edwards, who was tougher than anyone expected, regained consciousness and began screaming for help. At the same time, his son, Wythe Edwards, happened to return from military service and heard the commotion. Blood and his gang made a run for it, dropping the scepter in their scramble. The escape was pure chaos. Guards and soldiers chased the thieves through the tower grounds. Blood, refusing to go down quietly, fired pistols at his pursuers while shouting something to the effect of, "It was worth the risk, it was for a crown." Despite his bravado, Blood was captured near the iron gate, the crown slipping from his cloak as he wrestled with his captors. Most criminals would have faced an immediate and brutal execution for a crime this audacious. But Blood wasn't most criminals. When interrogated, he refused to speak to anyone but King Charles II himself. And here's the unbelievable part. The king agreed. Blood was brought before Charles, where he not only confessed but regaled the monarch with his life story, claiming he'd once planned to assassinate Charles but had been struck by the majesty of the king and changed his mind. Bold move, right? Even more shocking, Charles pardoned Blood. Not only did he let the man live, but he also gave him land in Ireland worth £500 a year. Some say Charles was amused by Blood's audacity. Others speculate the king might have had secret reasons for sparing him, including possible inside dealings. Whatever the truth, Blood walked away not just alive, but richer. And there you have it, the story of Thomas Blood, the rogue who tried to steal the crown jewels and somehow charmed his way into royal favor. Thanks for watching, and if you're as fascinated by tales like these as we are, make sure to stick around for more.